As today, the Atlanta Braves take on the homestanding New York Mets. And welcome to the broadcast booth, everyone. I'm Joe Buck. That's Tim McCarver. And Tim, we come on the air talking about the Atlanta Braves. It's easy to talk about the Braves. They've been so good this decade. Well, here the test continues for the New York Mets, and last night they flunked, losing a big one, 16-0.
It is a bigger test for the Atlanta Braves, however, this year, but they have dominated the New York Mets over the last 2 years. Their record over the last 16 games, 12-4. And the runs per game, about half as many for the Mets. The batting average is down. At good starting pitching for the Atlanta Braves. But you have to keep in mind that the New York Mets are a much, much better ball club this year than they have been since the late 80s.
Payroll's now about even. The results are not. The Atlanta Braves won here last night, as I mentioned, 16-0. New York Mets, get out your number 2 lead pencils. The test continues here this afternoon at Shea Stadium. Don't worry, first pitch coming up right after this.
Loss, even though Matt Franco got in the game, gave up a home run. Matt Franco, the superb utility player and pinch hitter for the Mets. But
that's not embarrassing.
No, it's not embarrassing. No, come on. I just don't like that word associated with losses, even when you lose 16-0. Matter of fact, the Mets have been shut out 454 times in their history, but never as bad as 16-0.
You're wearing me out already. Let's look at the Budweiser starting lineup for the Atlanta Braves. They will lead it off with Walt Weiss in short. Brett Boone bats second and second. Chipper Jones went deep twice last night. Hits third and third. Brian Jordan, the former Cardinal, in right. Andrew Jones in center. Gerald Williams is the left fielder today. Brian Hunter at first. Eddie Perez catching, and Kevin Millwood pitching and batting ninth. A look at the defense, Tim, for the New York Mets.
Well, the defense is a little different, and we'll tell you why in a minute. Henderson Cedeno leads the Mets with assists, the only outfielder who can really throw for New York. Agbayani, a great story in right field, and the infield is par excellence. Ventura, Ordonez, Alfonso, Olerud, keep them in mind. They're the best at the business as a group. Piazza behind the plate, and the reason we are saying that the defense has changed, there was another pitcher before Al Leiter took the field.
That's Hank Aaron. We'll talk about him in a moment. Right now we focus on Al Leiter, the National League pitcher of the month for the month of June, when he went 5-0. And coincidence or not, the second seemingly that the Mets changed pitching coaches. Bob Apodaca, who consequently we learn is headed to the Toronto Blue Jays organization. Al Leiter goes on a 5-0 tear on the mound for the Mets right when they needed him to. Just moments ago, Hank Aaron threw out the ceremonial first pitch. We'll talk to him, we hope, in the third inning. He's scheduled to come up to the booth. We celebrate the 25th anniversary when Hank Aaron moved one place in front of the home run king, the former home run king, Mr. Babe Ruth. Go ahead, talk us through Al Leiter.
From your patio, your living room, your den, wherever you may be this afternoon, with our center field camera, look inside to right-handed batters. That's where that cut fastball from Al Leiter goes more often than not. He's constantly trying to improve that curveball and changeup, and occasionally, after busting right-handers in, he'll go away with the sinker.
The third base coach for the New York Mets is Cookie Rojas. He has been kind enough to explain to our Spanish-speaking friends what the SAP button will do on your television.
Fanáticos, les habla Cookie Rojas. Si prefiere usted oír las transmisiones en español, presione el canal SAP. Muchas gracias y disfrute del juego de hoy.
Thank you, Cookie. I think loosely translated, that means if you don't want to listen to Joe Buck and Tim McCarver, hit the SAP button on your television.
Quit. We don't want to lose the audience.
That's right. All right, thanks to Cookie Rojas, and he's done a fine job for these Mets. Of course, they star their shortstop, Ray Ordonez, who is also Cuban-born. Walt Weiss steps in to lead it off against Al Leiter, underway here in the first inning, and Weiss fouls it back. Ray Ordonez, who you heard from in his own words, our pregame show with Keith and Steve, talking about what an honor it would be to represent the National League and represent the New York Mets in the upcoming All-Star game in Boston on July 13th. 0-1 the count. Ball and a strike from Al Leiter.
Don Baylor, the hitting instructor of the Braves, telling us before the game that every time Walt Weiss goes to the plate, the count is 3-2 on him, meaning that he takes a lot of pitches, rarely will swing at the first pitch, a lot of deep counts.
That's foul outside third and strike 2.
Plus, when you get 2 strikes on him, you're not going to strike him out that much. He is a very, very smart hitter against a power pitcher of Al Leiter.
Brett Boone waits to hit next, then Chipper Jones here in the first inning for Atlanta. Good start for Leiter in the Mets.
We ask that you look inside if you're at home, and that's where Leiter goes. That is that fastball. When you put it in play with the fat part of the bat, you can't help but pull it foul. That means that Robin Ventura will have a busy day at third base if Leiter's on.
1 out, nobody on, and Brett Boone takes a pitch just up. Brett Boone trying to find his stroke hitting, only .252, one of the best defensive second basemen in all of baseball. First year with the Atlanta Braves, the 1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike. For years in Cincinnati, so you look at a late arriving crowd still getting here to Shea Stadium. For years in Cincinnati, you'd hear one ex-player, one ex-hitting instructor after another say Brett Boone has got to change the way he hits. And he has, for the most part, getting the hands down a little bit, giving himself more of a chance, and his average last year in production was way up. 2 balls and a strike. Boone used to hold those hands high, was susceptible to inside deliveries, and now he's got them down, as you can see. 2 balls and a strike, still up a bit. Gets into a better hitting position, though, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Brett Boone, not only with the hands down a little above the shoulders, but he used to have that bat curled like that. So now he doesn't have as far to go with his bat. When you curl the bat, that means you have to straighten it up, and in trying to get the bat to the hitting zone, which is right in that area, you can't get it there quick enough, and you're vulnerable to the fastball. But he has radically changed his position of his hands.
A strikeout, a walk, and that's the start this afternoon for Al Leiter. A look at Bobby Valentine. Mild controversy here last night. The television monitor, which each manager is provided in the dugout, the Mets monitor was working fine. The Braves monitor wasn't showing the Mets bullpen, which is a way for somebody in that visiting dugout, which is literally that, a dugout, trying to look over the field and down into that right field corner, couldn't see the bullpen as Chipper Jones flies one to center for Cedeno, 2 away. So they finally figured out what the problem was, got it squared away, and that is nothing. That is merely a blip on the radar screen of controversies here at Shea Stadium regarding that dugout, the other dugout, and the 2 managers, as a couple of different times this season we've been delayed at starts of games by a pitcher's sleeves are too long, or they check the color of a pitcher's glove. Last night it was a television monitor, which they squared away. 1 on, 2 out, and Brian Jordan stands in. Talk about a walking lead. Al Leiter completely forgot about Brett Boone at first, and Brett steals his 8th base of the year.
Pitchers are constantly reminded to make base runners stop. Also, Olerud playing off the bag. That is the style that Bobby Valentine wants his first baseman to play, off the bag and going back and forth as opposed to holding him on. Brett Boone guessed right, stole second base without a throw.
And gives Brian Jordan the RBI opportunity. Jordan pops it up. It'll send Cedeno back a few, but should end the top of the first. It does, and the Braves, who got 3 in the first inning last night, come up empty here in the first today. Mets come up, no score in the first. Atlanta Braves starting rotation to the hill. A look at the Budweiser starting lineup for the New York Mets. They lead it off with Ricky Henderson in left. Edgardo Alfonzo, is batting second at second. John Olerud hits third at first. Mike Piazza cleans up. Robin Ventura off to a terrific start in his first year in a Mets uniform. He is batting fifth at third base. Benny Agbayani in right. Roger Cedeno in center with Ray Ordonez batting eighth. He's been hot. And Al Leiter with 2 hits on the year pitching batting ninth. To look at the Atlanta defense.
Gerald Williams will be in left field. Andre Jones in center. He is among the best in the business at tracking down and throwing runners out. Brian Jordan, a great addition to the Braves. Chipper Jones at third. Walt Weiss at short. Rhett Boone at second base. Brian Hunter at first. And Eddie Perez behind the plate. Javi Lopez, the Braves' #1 catcher, is due off the disabled list with a sprained right knee on Tuesday.
Ricky Henderson leads it off and takes a strike, as he typically will do. Kevin Millwood 9-4, and as I mentioned, while Maddox and Glavine have struggled for the most part this season, both seem to be back on track. Kevin Millwood has been good from the start with a record of 9-4. He won 17 games a year ago. Henderson, one of the most patient hitters in the history of this game, takes a ball, 1 strike, number 3 all time, the all-time walk list.
Ricky Henderson just saw that wicked slider from Kevin Millwood, one of the best right-handed sliders in the National League.
92-mile-per-hour fastball from Millwood, and he has Henderson set up at 1-2. Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach for the Atlanta Braves, one of the best in the business. They have the weapons, but he knows how to handle them. A ball and 2 strikes. Had him reaching. Long throw for Weiss. Close play, but got it. 1 away.
Let's take a look at Kevin Millwood and what the Met hitters are expecting out of Kevin this afternoon. Classic power guy, and yes, he can be compared with John Smoltz, similar to John, that they both throw very hard. He does not have a splitter, however. There's that wicked curveball we were talking about, working on an overhand curveball and an occasional change, but for the most part right now, this time in his career, fastball slider.
Alfonso pops one into right. Brian Jordan is there. It's the second out in the first inning. First swing of the bat for Edgardo Alfonso, and congratulations to Edgardo and his wife Delia. Couple had their second son last night, Daniel Antonio Alfonso.
I caught your meaning. Popped one into right. Perfectly appropriate.
Absolutely unintended. But thanks for giving me credit for something that I didn't think about. John Olerud, a .307 hitter. He has reached base in 75 of the 77 games he has been in for the Mets this season. 2 out, nobody on. And a ball from Millwood. See if Olerud can extend this first inning for New York. 1 ball, 1 strike. Olerud, top 10 in the National League with a .443 on base percentage. Very good number 3 hitter, especially with that power man behind him in Mike Piazza. That misses down and in. 2-1.
John Olerud, the type of hitter that you could hit 3, 4, or 5, or you could stretch it out and possibly hit him second.
On 2-1, Olerud took it down and in again. 3 balls and a strike. Not your typical power hitting first baseman. But what you lose in power, you make up for in on base percentage and average. And he's driven in 49. 3 balls and a strike. That's well hit into left center field. It will slice to the left fielder Williams. Back near the track, comes in, puts it away, and it's a perfect first inning for Kevin Millwood. After 1, Shea Stadium, New York, no score. Stolen base, but Brian Jordan flat out to end the inning. And Andruw Jones steps in. Just 22 years old is Andruw Jones, a .273 hitter. Taking all the way, it's down and in, ball 1. To me, this is a matchup, and you and I haven't talked about this, so I don't know if you agree with this or not. But to me, these are the 2 best teams in the National League. Houston Astros, when healthy, when they have Olu,
Yeah.
Probably right behind Atlanta. But right now, I don't think they're in that category. 2 balls, no strikes.
Of course, the Astros haven't played well lately over the last 3 weeks. Currently tied with the Cincinnati Reds. The Astros winning last night. But 3 weeks ago, I would have said Houston, then Atlanta, and then the Mets.
2 balls and a strike, 2-2. So you would rate Houston as a more dangerous club when healthy, when playing well, than the Atlanta Braves?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. 3 weeks ago, as a matter of fact, they had the best record in baseball in the National League up until about 3 weeks ago. But things have not been going well for Matt Galante.
Matt Galante has taken over. We'll go now for a game break and back to Keith Olbermann in the Fox Network Center.
And Joe, in Cleveland, Mike Sweeney has now driven in a run for the Royals in 11 straight games. A team record 2-run ding-dong off Nagy in the first. Top of the third now, 3-0, the Indians. And by the way, from the Meteorological Museum, Joe, it's raining heavily in New Jersey at the moment.
Thank you, Keith. Is that good or bad?
That there's a meteorological museum in New Jersey?
That's bad. I know that. 1 out, nobody on. Gerald Williams, the left fielder for Atlanta, takes a breaking ball strike. Williams gets the start. This is the right-handed hitting lineup for the Atlanta Braves against a left-handed starter. It includes Gerald Williams and Brian Hunter, who is on deck. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's Brian back with the Atlanta Braves and playing well. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. Second inning, and Williams chops it foul, strike 2. And this crowd starts to crank it up as they sense strikeout number 3 for Al Leiter. Two balls, 2 strikes as a fastball gets away. These Atlanta Braves seem to be getting things going in the right direction. Their bullpen has been solidified by John Rocker as the closer. They have very good setup pitching out of that bullpen, and now Maddox and Glavine are starting to pitch like Maddox and Glavine. 2-2 pitch. That's down into the left field corner. Should be a double for Gerald Williams. It might end up as 3 as Ricky Henderson kicks it. That's all. A 1-out double. Henderson kicked it but kept it right in front of him. And the Atlanta Braves have the first hit of the afternoon.
Al Leiter did not get the fastball in far enough, but Gerald Williams appeared to be looking for the fastball in, and you have to do that if you're a right-handed batter. Give him anything away up to 2 strikes. Al Leiter, a drop and drive type pitcher, and again relies on that cut fastball inside to right-handers. He'll throw it about 65 to 70% of the time.
While we were showing those replays, we missed the excitement of an appeal at first base as the Mets appealed and asked the first base umpire Kerwin Danley if Gerald Williams touched first, scooting down to second for that double. Danley said he did. Runner at second, 1 out for Brian Hunter. Hunter is not one to leave much guesswork as to what he's trying to do. This guy swings. He swings hard. He's hit 4 home runs with an average of .270 for the Braves this year. One ball, 1 strike.
Fake break from Gerald Williams at second base. The one thing you do not want to do when you're the runner at second base is fake break, because the guy you really upset is the hitter. You don't want to do that. You either run or you stay put.
Leiter on 1-1, misses the inside corner. 2 balls and a strike. And already Leiter is wearing out that inside corner, or the inside part to these right-handed hitters. 300 hitter with runners in scoring position. He has that chance now to put Atlanta on top. Hunter breaks his bat, and it's a 2-2 count. Brian needs a new bat. Just to follow up on what we were talking a little while ago, talking about the Atlanta Braves seeming to get it all pointed the right direction, and it all starts with starting pitching. I mean, you're looking at a first-place Atlanta club that's 12th in the National League with the batting average as a team at .267. About middle of the pack in home runs. They win with pitching, starting pitching. Glavine has been on a roll, bettered only by Maddox, who's been on an even better roll for the Atlanta Braves. Williams stealing third. Hunter strikes out, throw down, and Williams safe to extend this second inning. Nearly a strike him out, throw him out, double play, but Williams steals his 5th of the year.
With the runner running, a hitter is more inclined to swing at a bad ball like Brian Hunter did just then. Even though there are 2 strikes, hitters are trained to try to protect the base runner as much as they can. And Brian Hunter going after a ball there, that ball up in his eyes, but Williams is on at third. The Mets love that trade, however. An out for a guy at third with 2 outs.
23% on the year for Piazza. Runner at third, 2 out. Sun breaks through here at Shea Stadium as Eddie Perez looks at ball 1, and Eddie Montague, the home plate umpire, isn't giving that inside corner to Al Leiter here at the start. Don't talk to me about the corners of the plate, say the Atlanta Braves. 1 ball, no strikes. Hello, 2-0. That's been the complaint of the Braves. They've complained mildly, and to their credit, both Maddox and Glavine, who have struggled, have not blamed changes in the strike zone. After the count ran to 2-0, they'll intentionally pass Eddie Perez and bring in Millwood with runners at first and third, 2 out. Moments ago, Ned Yost, the third base coach, talked to Williams about the situation.
Got it, baby. It's mud out there. I know it's muddy. Listen, we got 2 down, all right? You use your natural ability to tell you what to do on that ball in the dirt, all right? If you think you can go, you go. Go ahead and go for it. Come on, Eddie!
Matter of fact, you'd be more inclined to try to score on a short, wild pitch with the pitcher hitting in 2 out than you would normally.
Runners at the corners, 2 out. Millwood breaks his bat, hits a soft liner to Alfonso. So the Braves lead 2. They've stranded 3. Mike Piazza leads off for the Mets. Bottom of the second here at Shea, no score.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by MasterCard. MasterCard, proud sponsor of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime.
Back at Shea Stadium, Mike Piazza leads off, then Robin Ventura, Benny Agbayani for the Mets. There is no score. You know, Tim, I still haven't finished my point that I've visited twice already here this afternoon.
We'll get to it, baby.
Just talking about, I was leading to the importance of this series for the Mets as they trail the Atlanta Braves now by 4 games. You don't win a game in this set, the Braves leave here 6 games up. You might be forced, as the Braves have started to pick it up, to really think just about the wild card if you're a Mets fan. And I know that these 2 teams meet 6 times in the final 2 weeks of the season. The Mets will be at Atlanta September 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and then the Atlanta Braves will be here at Shea at the end of September. But this is an important series here at the start of July for the Mets, to say the least.
There is the situation, the standings in the National League East. The Philadelphia Phillies 7 games back, 3 behind the Mets. I think it's important because of what the Braves have done to the Mets over the last 2 years. If the Braves escape with another series win, it's going to be yet another peg in that successful coffin, if you will. The Atlanta Braves playing the New York Mets.
Piazza jammed a bit, and he floats it into left field for Gerald Williams. Didn't get extended on that swing. 1 away.
There have not been a lot of balls hit hard in this game, and I wouldn't suspect it if both of these pitchers continue to throw like they have been throwing. That is the 5th broken bat. Looks like Mike hit it right below the trademark, not on the sweet spot. A lot of times, even if you hit it on the sweet spot with that type of swing, you have to pull your arms in so much that you don't extend and get the most power that you do normally.
93-mile-per-hour fastball for strike one to Robin Ventura. See the RBI total for Ventura. 8th in the National League to this point, and for the Mets, he set a club record with RBIs through July 1st. Been a successful first year in the National League for Ventura in a Mets uniform. The 0-2. That was quick. 2 out, the first strikeout for Millwood. Well, we talked about the wild card, and I know it's silly to talk about the wild card this early in the season, but why not? You look at the Astros, a game better than the Mets, the Diamondbacks. They now trail San Francisco. 2 games off that wild card pace. The Phillies, you know, nobody pays any attention to the Phillies. They won again last night. They beat up on the Cubs. Here's Benny Agbayani, who takes ball 1.
The Phillies feisty and plucky. Nobody gives them a lot of credit. Not as much experience as the other contenders for that wild card spot, but a very good ball club.
2-0. I really like their manager, Terry Francona.
Absolutely. No question. One of the fine young managers around. I mean, when you get an endorsement by Michael Jordan before you get the job, pretty good endorsement. Michael Jordan playing for Terry Francona when he played Double-A ball for the Birmingham Barons.
Agbayani couldn't hold up. The count 2-1. And they've got that staff ace that so many teams covet now. Not only any staff ace, but that guy in particular. Not that guy. The guy who really wears the Schilling jersey. The 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. Mets are talking about adding another starter, a top line starter, to this rotation before the trading deadline. Cleveland Indians have been talking about it since 1954. 2 out, nobody on, and a walk to Benny Agbayani.
And the Cleveland Indians, with the best record in baseball, already talking about perhaps adding a pitcher of Chuck Finley's status with the Anaheim Angels, thinking already about facing the Yankees in postseason play. Is it premature? They don't think so.
I think they mathematically won the division sometime in late April.
What a machine.
And they continue to crank out wins. They're another game, as Keith Olbermann already told us, featured today on Fox Saturday Baseball, playing the Royals. There's a strike to Cedeno. How good is this guy? Roger Cedeno, 6th in the league, hitting .333, and #1 in the major leagues with 43 stolen bases. And I don't want to say he was a throw-in in that trade, but he was not the frontline player acquired by the Mets. That person was Armando Benitez, but they've had terrific production from both. And a real credit to Steve Phillips. In a rather rocky season for the Mets front office and coaching staff. 1 on, 2 out. Runner is going, and Cedeno fouls it away, strike 2.
I don't think that's the last time you're going to see Benny Agbayani try to steal second base in this at bat. This makes all the sense in the world. If Agbayani is thrown out, then Roger Cedeno, a good leadoff batter, leads off the bottom of the 3rd inning. So I would suspect, maybe not on the next pitch, but on a 1-2 count, or if Cedeno fouls it off, look for Agbayani to run again.
He's got to rest up now.
That's right. See, a lot of times throwing over there, you give a guy a chance to rest up after he's tried to steal second base. Sometimes the worst time to throw to first base is after a guy's tried to steal second and a ball's been fouled off.
We'll keep an eye on him. 0-2, the count on Cedeno at the plate. Runner doesn't go. Breaking ball stays up. Kevin Millwood trying to pitch around a 2-out walk to Agbayani. The Dodgers did not give the chance that Cedeno needed to show what he could do at this level. The Mets have given Cedeno that chance, at times at the expense of Brian McRae, and definitely at the expense of Bobby Bonilla. The pinch hit here last night, grounded out, and his season of turmoil continues here with the Mets.
I don't think when the season started that the Mets in their wildest dreams ever thought that Benny Agbayani and Roger Cedeno would be playing 70% of their games.
There he goes, swing and a miss, struck him out, inning over, second strikeout of the inning and game for Millwood. You called it. No score after 2. Back to Shea after these words from your local Fox station.
You're watching Fox Saturday.
Boone and Chipper Jones will follow. 2 hits and a walk, the attack for the Braves to this point. And that hits the inside corner to the right-handed batter. Strike 1. Weiss was on the disabled list with a left quad pull. He's had some trouble with leg injuries the last couple of years. Was getting hot right when he was sidelined with the injury, and now he's back. Came back on Thursday. He's 0 for 1 here this afternoon. 1 ball, 1 strike. Don Baylor, who was Weiss's manager for years in Colorado, used to call Walt Weiss an extra coach on the team and a coach on the field when he would play short for the Rockies. 2 balls and a strike. Up the middle, a floater. Ordonez gets there, 1 away.
Joe, you mentioned the last half inning that Kevin Millwood is throwing 93 miles an hour. The one thing that I have always had against the radar gun is that it does tell you the velocity. However, what it does not gauge is how heavy a pitcher's pitch is. And both Al Leiter and Kevin Millwood not only throw hard from a velocity standpoint, but their pitches are very heavy. When you hit a ball like that, it's almost like hitting an anvil or something that weighs more than a baseball. We've seen it one example after another in the first 2 1/3.
That's bounced off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're going to have to get some physicists to explain why certain guys can throw the same baseball, even though it's more tightly wound now. Tim, I don't know if you knew that. It's more tightly wound now than in past years, and make it seem heavier than somebody else. Or do you have a
I think it has something to do with the seams of the ball. Absolutely. In other words, if a pitcher throws a 4-seam fastball, he uses the seams of the ball for leverage for more velocity. If he doesn't use the seams, or if he's off the seams a little bit, the chance of the pitch being heavier than a guy who throws a 4-seam fastball are greater.
But that's unscientific.
Too simplistic, maybe?
No, I like it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Better that way. Al Leiter, 1 out, nobody on. He has struck out 3 today. Tough play for Ventura with the bare hand. Got him at first, and a dig by Olerud at the other end. 2 gone.
National League, beware. Do not hit the ball on the ground to this infield, because they can flat pick it even with the bare hand and on the other end. The Mets infield with only 16 errors through half the season, and yet the pitcher, catcher, and all the outfielders combined have 21.
Chipper Jones is jammed, and he pops it up first base side for Olerud. Leiter keeps working that inside part to right-handed hitters, and he got inside to Jones his first 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of the 3rd inning, no score. Minutes ago, Trainer stepped up and cut a piece off the glove of Kevin Millwood. Well, we no sooner talk about it than it happens. That was directed by the Mets bench, as they made mention of that to home plate umpire Eddie Montague. And whatever, if there was a long string, a leather strap hanging off that glove, they made Millwood cut it off. Ordonez pops it up, 1 away here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Here's what Bobby Valentine said before they made Millwood cut that piece off.
If you just mention it to Ed, he'll have him cut it off, or otherwise I'll come and demand it. Huh? Yeah, got to cut it off. Yeah, let me cut it.
And the gamesmanship, or whatever you want to call it, continues.
I think that's the perfect word for it. I mean, he is a guy, Bobby Valentine, who honestly doesn't care what many think about him.
That's right.
At least the guys on the other side of the diamond. I don't know if it transcends beyond that. That's another hour's discussion. But he is a lot like Eddie Stanky, who just recently passed away. A guy who said there's the right way, there's a wrong way, there's the Stanky way, and a guy who would compete to the point where he drove the opposition nuts. And that's part of Bobby Valentine's approach as a manager. He doesn't sit over there and just make lineup changes. He's looking for a little edge. He'll get up on the top step and cheer after a home run. And he does things that gets under the skin of the guys in the other dugout. Leiter strikes out looking, and that's another example of it, and Bobby Valentine revels in that. That's just part of Bobby Valentine.
And what you have to gauge if you do ploys like that, like Bobby Valentine does, and he certainly does that, is whether you anger the opposition more than you get them to think about what you're trying to get them to think about, which is something other than what they're doing. If Kevin Millwood, for instance, has to cut off something from his glove, then it's totally unrelated with the job that he's doing. It has nothing to do with baseball, but it's Valentine's way of getting the opposition to think of something other than their jobs. You've heard of pull the string? Well, that's an adage for a changeup in baseball, but in Millwood's case, it's cut the string.
Just got to look at that string from earlier in the game. It was hanging off the end of the glove. Now that string is gone. Counts 2-0 on Rickey Henderson with 2 out, nobody on. Bases empty, 2 down. Henderson takes a strike, 2-1.
Now, could something like that bother the batter? That little string hanging down off the back of the glove? Perhaps.
I think Millwood just continuing to do that little motion would bother a hitter more than the string.
I think his fastball and slider does more to the hitter than anything connected with his glove.
2 balls, 2 strikes. You know, to a certain degree, all that stuff works. I mean, you know, I don't have a big problem with that, with Bobby Valentine doing that. If that's part of him, that's part of him. And it's just something you know you get when you have him in your dugout. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and it upsets a lot of people, but Bobby Valentine says, so what?
Well, against the Braves, not only are they Eastern Division foes, but also the Braves have their own edition of gamesmanship. Dennis Cook, as a matter of fact, they've been checking him out for 3 years, and Cook says, I keep rubbing the ball up the same way. Pat Corrales and Bobby Cox have been after Dennis Cook since his days in Florida.
And no manager in baseball gets on home plate umpires more than Bobby Cox.
That's right.
They are always over there moaning about calls that they don't get. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and Henderson bloops one into center for Andruw Jones. He styles to get it, and the inning is over. Mets go in order after 3 at Shea Stadium. Little gamesmanship, no score. There's a former All-Star 25 years ago. He hit home run number 715 on April 8th, 1974. Al Downing, the Dodgers. And we will talk about Aaron as we go along here this afternoon, and we will give you the All-Star ballot update. No official results yet, but that All-Star game is coming up quick. July 13th. In Boston right here on Fox as Brian Jordan takes a strike from Al Leiter underway in the 4th inning. Jordan, Jones, and Williams. The Braves have 1 hit. The Mets have none. Look out. Tim right over our heads. 0-2 and back down below.
In 1963, Lou Burdett of the Braves, at the time in Milwaukee, was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, and he told me a story that I found hard to believe, but it was backed up by Warren Spahn.
With that tease, we bring you the 0-2 pitch.
In late June of 1957, Lou Burdett and Warren Spahn picked up Henry Aaron's bat in late June that he had used since the beginning of spring training. There were no marks other than the marks on the fat part of the bat. None. No indentations. No marks in the trademark at the end of the bat. There was about a 3-ball width of black marks on the bat, meaning that Henry hit it there all the time. This is the only bat he used to late June.
There's a nice career right there.
Goodness.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Jordan pops it into shallow center. Here comes Cedeno to play it on a hop. And Jordan has the second hit of the afternoon for the Atlanta Braves. Here's today's All-Star Ballot update brought to you by Pepsi. And again, these are unofficial results, but the leading vote getter is Sammy Sosa, joined by Gwynn and Walker in the outfield. Gwynn has been injured with that calf muscle. Barry Larkin just had a tremendous month of June. Biggio, McGuire on the right side. McGuire homered twice last night, has 25. And Mike Piazza, who had a 24-game hitting streak earlier this season for the Mets, is the leader at the catcher position. Leadoff single for Jordan, and a look at him from Al Leiter. They used to say that about Musial as well, didn't they? He used about a
30-ounce bat, 34 inches, 30 ounces. Normally hitters use 33, 4, 5, anywhere from 33 ounces to 36 ounces. As we take a look at the American League All-Stars.
Brought to you by Pepsi. Ken Griffey Jr. is the leading vote getter, the American League side. And you see all those Indians, and they start to grumble now. Well, maybe Cleveland's stuffing the ballot box.
Like Cincinnati did back in 1956.
The 0-1 pitch, runner goes, and a ground ball left side. That'll at least get Jordan to second. What a good play by Ordonez. Out at first is Andruw Jones, 1 away. How many shortstops make that play?
And the Mets had the right guy covering, too. Alfonso covering because of the inclination of Leiter to pitch right-handers inside. So you want your second baseman covering, because the likelihood of a guy like Jones hitting the ball to the right side, little. But you're right. He made a tough play look easy. He does that all the time.
You know what stands out to me about that play? Granted, that was in slow motion, but you saw how long it took that ball off the hands to get to the shortstop Ordonez. Andruw Jones runs about as well as anybody in this league, and he was out by 10 feet at first. Ordonez can pick it up and get it to the throwing hand and get rid of it. As Williams shoots one foul for strike 1. As well as anybody, if not better than anybody, and the only reason I hesitate is because of Vizquel in Cleveland. I mean, he got him by 10 feet. You looked at that replay in full speed.
It's almost as though the ball never goes in the glove. The transition is so smooth and so fast.
Runner at second, 1 out. Atlanta with an RBI chance for Gerald Williams. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ozzie Smith used to practice that before every game. He'd stand out in front of the dugout with whomever, play catch, stick his glove hand out to his side with the glove on it, and he'd take the throw in from the glove, keep the bare hand out, and it would hit the glove and bounce into his bare hand without ever squeezing. 2 balls and a strike.
I visualize Bill Mazeroski, who used to throw the ball into his small glove, and I mean a very small glove, 200 times a game. 200 times a game. Instead of dealing with his bat, as most hitters do, he'd come back and get the ball, throw it into his mitt, take it out, throw it in, take it out, throw it out, take it out. Talk about nerve-wracking.
2 balls and a strike on Gerald Williams. Runner at second, 1 out.
Get punchy just watching him.
Bill, you want to cut it out for a minute?
Hey, Bill.
Get a headache.
Look, that's enough, okay?
Well, I would say it worked.
Did it ever?
One of the best defensive second basemen ever. 2 balls and a strike on Gerald Williams. That's off the plate foul. 2-2. Ryan Jordan on with a single. Moved to second on the ground ball by Andruw Jones, and what a terrific first season in an Atlanta uniform for Brian Jordan. leads this Atlanta team in RBIs. He's at second to 2-2. Oh, just missed the inside corner, and you can see Leiter's reaction. He wanted that pitch and hasn't gotten it from the home plate umpire most of the day.
Just off the inside part. Usually if a pitcher is as consistent as Leiter in one location on the plate, you have a tendency to get that pitch more often than not.
Time called at the plate.
However, the pitch outside off the corner is an easier pitch to get for a strike than the pitch inside off the corner, regardless of a pitcher's consistency. Catchers are much more adapted catching the ball outside off the plate and bringing it back.
3-2 pitch, down and in for ball 4. It's 2 on, 1 out. Third walk of the day, second unintentional walk
First baseman
for Leiter, and it's 2 on, 1 out for the number 7 hitter Brian Hunter. You're not going to pull much over on Eddie Montague, the home plate umpire. He is a freelance magician in his spare time. He is a part-time magician, goes to old folks' homes, goes to veterans hospitals, wherever his crew goes throughout the National League, and I guess now beyond with interleague play. He packs up the magic act and goes to entertain one group after another.
Baseball's version of David Copperfield,
in a way. Oh, so many things to say after you set me up with that, but I'll close it up. 2 on, 1 out. Brian Hunter watches Leiter spin. No throw back towards second.
Good.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's very
that you
good.
don't do that.
It's
yes.
very good. It'll last a lot longer in this business. Hunter, that's foul. Think this guy swings hard? That's into the upper tank. Oh, that was 5 or 6 rows from the top of this stadium.
Home run in a round park. Leiter gets a lot of swings from right-handers like that, because that ball is biting inside, and when they hit it, that inward movement makes them rush the hands out there. You get a lot of broken bats, and as we said earlier, when you hit it well, it's often foul.
Again, back inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
On the high ground indeed for the month of June. The pitcher of the month in June, 5-0 in 5 starts.
No home runs allowed. As Hunter shoots it foul into the Atlanta dugout, and Andrew Jones nearly smoked by that foul ball.
You know, one of the interesting things about that, normally the on-deck circle for a visiting player using the third base dugout, that's the safest spot in the world. Eddie Perez right there, that's the safest spot in the world normally, because the right-handed batter will normally foul the ball. He'll slice the ball off the other way. But again, an idea of how much Brian Hunter is looking for the ball inside. Looked like he hit that foul ball through his legs.
A little too far out in front. A ball and 2 strikes now. 2 on, 1 out. Back inside, 2-2.
That's a perfect time to go away right now. You have impressed Hunter inside so much. He pulls the ball almost out of the stadium and then into the Braves dugout. We'll see where Piazza sets up, but a good time to go away with that sinker.
The 2-2. Back inside, and another foul pulled down the left side off the bat of Brian Hunter.
So Piazza gave a fastball sign inside on the 3rd pitch. So the Mets, with a runner on at second base, are using the 3rd sign. That was the only fastball he gave during that sequence of the 4 signs that he flashed. So you at home know that the 3rd, this is going to be a slider down and in, or a changeup. He shook it off. Curveball.
On 2-2. Had him reaching. That's hooked foul down the left field line. That was something off speed.
Curveball.
Still 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You get to know a pitcher so well that you can flash those fingers down so quickly that even if the guy on second base gets him, a lot of times he can't keep up. That's the rhythm that goes, that's so important between a catcher and a pitcher. The cadence. Fastball inside, he stared off. They're going away this time. Index finger inside. Leiter didn't like it. Pinky outside. Not only the pitch, but the location. Outside fastball.
And he missed with it as Hunter checked his swing. 3-2. There is John Franco, who was relegated to dental work in the dugout right now because he has been placed on the disabled list. He hurt himself in last night's game, which is the real crime. 2 on, 1 out, 3-2 pitch. Look out over there. A foul scorched over the Atlanta dugout. John Franco, a strained flexor in his left middle finger. He had to come out of last night's game. The pitch count was getting up there as well in a blowout. They took him out, brought Matt Franco in to pitch, finished out the inning. And we understand that Rigo Beltran is here, although I haven't heard an official announcement to this point that Beltran is here, but that's what we understand. The left-hander called up from AAA. 2 on, 1 out, 3-2 pitch. Got him. Outside, 2 gone. Well, it took a long time to get it, but Leiter finally picked up that strikeout.
So conscious of the pitch inside. Watch it, the swing at the pitch away. The proper time to go away is when you've been pounding inside, and boom, a great fastball by Leiter right on the corner. That was a great at bat by Brian Hunter, even though the result wasn't good.
Now 2 on, 2 out for Eddie Perez, who homered last night, has 2 on the year. He went opposite field last night. Leiter with a yell after letting that pitch go. 1 ball, no strikes. There isn't a lot of that sign stealing anymore in the game, is
Not really.
I mean, Brian Jordan, if he were watching as closely as you were, would have been able to help his hitter, Brian Hunter, on those last handful of pitches from Leiter.
The one thing that young catchers in particular, and Mike Piazza doesn't do it because he's been around too long, the one thing that they do often with a man on at second base, they set up too early, thereby giving away location. And sometimes the location can denote the pitch. For instance, if a catcher sits up inside, it's got to be something hard. Got to be.
Perez to the left side. Ventura, great range. Can he recover? Throw, and a great defensive stop by Olerud. He just saved a run, and there's a guy knowing the pitcher's coming up, 2 out in the inning, and he came off the bag, wasn't concerned about the out. He tried to keep it on the infield, and he did.
Watch the play by Ventura. In the webbing of the glove, falls down, crawls, throws, and watch Olerud on the in-between hop. Knowing how important with 2 outs and the pitcher coming up that this play is. Fine play on both ends, and I think the reason that Ventura made the throw, he knew who was running. Eddie Perez, not a fast runner. Al Leiter becoming a fan. Boy, was that some animation.
Giving him more energy than delivering the pitch. Now the bases are loaded, 2 out for Kevin Millwood. A little line drive or a pop-up, however you want to call it, his first time up with a couple on. There's that pitch down and in, which ought to overpower Millwood and make the count 0-1. Interesting stat. The Braves coming into this game as a pitching staff had a combined average of 206. The Los Angeles catchers have a combined average of 204. The Yankee left fielders have a combined average of 204 to this point. Millwood shatters his bat. Here's Ventura. Long throw, has time, inning over. And the Braves strand the bases loaded, have left 6. We'll visit with Hank Aaron at the bottom of the 4th inning. No score. Kevin Millwood heads back to the hill. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and it is our pleasure to welcome to the broadcast booth Mr. Henry Aaron. That was nice before the game. He threw out the first pitch, and this crowd, the moment you stepped foot on the field, got up and gave you a standing ovation. That's got to make you feel good.
Well, it's always wonderful to be back in New York. You know, and of course, I came here for a check presentation for Chasing the Dream,
Right.
which they gave me $15,000, which is going to help my Chasing the Dream Foundation. But it's always nice to be in New York.
We will talk to Hank Aaron during this bottom of the 4th inning as the Mets try to jump out on top. You were watching this game over in a luxury suite. You came over here. The first thing you said to your friend Tim McCarver, not a lot of hard hit balls today. You're watching. You're charting the pitching already, aren't you?
Well, you know what? You know, you're talking about two pitchers that can actually pitch inside, which is always effective. You're talking about Lauder and you're talking about Millwood. Millwood, of course, throws very hard. Lauder got that cut fastball and a slider, and he can really get in your kitchen, you know. But that's really the basic way to pitch. In fact, we were talking about that just a minute ago about how effective a pitcher is. And I was saying to somebody about who was one of the best pitchers, taking nothing away from Seaver. But Kuzma was probably one of the best pitchers in Mets history because he was so effective inside with his fastball.
Even the right-handers.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And he threw about 92 miles an hour, you know, and he threw the ball very well.
There's a look at the retired number of Tom Seaver, who works here with this ball club and on the broadcast. We just saw a vice president with the Braves. How involved are you on a day-by-day basis with this rolling Braves franchise? They are really the envy of a lot of teams today in the major leagues.
Not too much, Jack, like I was, I said, a few years ago. I'm slowly trying to take my role and get it just padded down a little bit more than it was. I'm not that involved in it anymore. You know, I'm more involved now with Chasing the Dream Foundation, my foundation. I have other things I'm involved with. So I'm really trying to tone everything down now.
Edgardo Alfonzo, 2 balls, 2 strikes leading off, and he pops it up to the right side. Glasses on. Brian Hunter waits for it and puts it away. You know, your buddy McCarver here was at the plate when they took a home run away from you. Did you know that? It should be 7:56, but Chris Pellicudis, the home plate umpire, took a home run away from you because you were what, out of the batter's box?
Well, they claimed I was traveling like a basketball player.
Right.
I was traveling. I was out of the batter's box. But I don't know. I don't. And maybe I was. I don't know.
Did they warn you, Tim? Did they tell you?
Against Kurt Simmons,
right?
Who was you have said that he was the toughest pitcher that you ever faced because he'd never throw you a fastball, especially the last 10 years.
Never would.
One curveball after another.
That's right, and one jump pitch after another one. But you know what, Tim? I found out. I later looked at that thing, and I said, you know, the pitcher that really gave me more trouble, but you know, I liked to hit against him, but I never did hit it. Was Steve Stone.
Wow.
Yeah, Steve Stone. I went 1 for 20 against Steve Stone. At least every now and then I would bloop a hit against Kurt Simmons or somebody, but you know.
I'll guarantee you, Steve Stone is in Philadelphia right now. He's a broadcaster with the Chicago Cubs, and he's glowing with pride right now.
Well,
he just lit up another cigar, didn't he?
Right, he did, yeah.
Hey, now, come on, you're ducking the question now. McCarver, did you know?
I did know, yes.
They warned you prior to that.
Well, it wasn't a warning. Henry, I don't know if you remember this, but you popped up to Del Maxville the time before that home run when you were out of the box in September of 1965. And Chris Pellicudis said, you know, if Maxie had dropped that ball, I would have had to have called Hank out. And I'm going, why? I don't. And he said, I didn't know what to ask him. So he said the reason for that is Henry was out of the box.
Well, he's probably right, you know. I mean, really, you know. And listen, let me tell you. And this is my old hunting buddy, really.
That's right. I knew that.
We didn't kill much, but we went hunting.
Northern Montana, 1972.
That's right. But we had a lot of fun, though. But
sure did.
But you know, I really, you know, I have to say this. I know this guy, you know, he played with one of the guys I've always admired, and that was Bob Gibson.
Greatest competitor I've ever seen.
And you know who else? And I'm glad he's in the Hall of Fame. Orlando Cepeda. I mean, really. When you guys needed that run back then, he was the one that could get it for you, you know.
In 1967, the MVP runaway MVP.
That's right. He was a great ball player, you know.
Sure was.
Here's Mike Piazza with 1 on, 1 out. Not to bring this laugh fest to a screeching halt. But have you been at all bitter looking back as Piazza fouls it back at the lack of recognition you've received over the years, seemingly up until now as the Braves honored you at the start of the season? Now you're honored here in New York. You'll be at the All-Star game with us on July 13th in Boston. Have you been at all bitter at the lack of respect you've had in this game?
Let me say this. You know, I've tried to tell people all the time that, yes, disappointment, yes, but bitter, no. I don't have time for that, you know, really. I have a feeling that, and I say this because of the fact that what has happened this year, this is probably one of the greatest years I've ever had. I had the President of the United States to come to my birthday party, I didn't go to his. And the other thing, we raised a lot of money for my Chasing the Dream Foundation. So, you know, in all, I have a lot to be thankful for. And to answer your question directly, no, I have never been bitter. Just because I expressed my concern and disbelief in some things that happened, you know, didn't mean that much, you know, really.
Piazza hits into the double play. Hank Aaron, thank you so much for coming by and stopping in with us.
Thank you.
That's Henry Aaron, all-time home run king. We go to the 5th. Still a 0-0 game. Is hot. Well, are you going to win the Nissan Frontier Crew Cab? A compact pickup truck with 4 real front hinge doors. See if you're eligible to win by logging on to foxsports.com and checking your answers. Winners of the Nissan All-Star Drive to Boston sweepstakes will be announced live during the All-Star game here on Fox on July 13th. Welcome back to Shea Stadium. Top of the order for the Braves. It'll be Walt Weiss, Brett Boone, and Chipper Jones. No score in the 5th inning. Mets still looking for their first hit. The Braves have a grand total of 3. Hal Leiter wants to know where that pitch was. It missed down and in, evidently ball 1. There's Millwood. What a job he's done on the mound today. For Atlanta, the 1-0 pitch. A high strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Joe, as a matter of fact, Greg Maddux last night had a no-hitter through 4 innings. What does Kevin Millwood have? A no-hitter through 4 innings this afternoon.
1 ball, 1 strike. Hard hit. How good is he? I haven't seen a better defensive third baseman in the game, and that's with all due respect paid to Matt Williams and others who are out there, but this guy is a vacuum and automatic.
Tell you, in my opinion, Joe, a guy who comes a very, very close second is playing second today, Edgardo Alfonso, who had to move from third to second base to give Ventura to open up things for Robin to play third base. But this infield is something to see that the Mets have.
5-time Gold Glove Award winner. See, leading the list with 16 is Brooks Robinson. Michael Jack Schmidt with 10. Buddy Bell with 6. Robin Ventura, Boyer, Rader, and Ron Santo. And again, get well soon to Ron Santo, who went through bypass surgery since last we spoke. 1 ball, 1 strike on Brett Boone. 1 out, nobody on. We talk about Ventura, who at one point in his collegiate career had a 58-game hitting streak at Oklahoma State. Came to the big leagues in a hurry with the White Sox.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And again, you get that pained look on your face as you see that catch Piazza in a bad spot.
This is right into that protective cup of Mike Piazza. Let's listen.
Oh. Well, that was graphic.
Oh, oof.
1 out, nobody on. A ball and 2 strikes. Boone takes it high, 2-2. Just to finish on Ventura, he went through his first full year an 0 for 41 skid at the plate. He said it taught him a lot, made him grow up in a hurry, and he is a very consistent person and player. Perfect here in New York. Olerud. That stay in play. Yes, 2 out. Boone's 0 for 2 with a walk.
We saw a foul tip that Mike Piazza was plunked on Eddie Perez this past week. 1 off the mask up in Montreal. 1 off the right forearm in Montreal. Another 1 off the mask that knocks him backwards. and then this one off the right foot. That was all in a 3-game series the Braves played up in Montreal. Eddie back in there today.
Here's a shot foul down the left field line. Chipper Jones. Strike one. Javi Lopez is on the disabled list. And Eddie Perez has been back there day after day. In fact, he's catching a day game after a night game.
I said that was up in Montreal. I erred when I said that. It was against the Mets last weekend in that series when the Mets went down in Atlanta.
2 out, nobody on, and 1 outside. A ball and a strike. Chipper Jones has hit 9 of his 16 home runs, batting left-handed. His production from the left side way down. In fact, he homered here last night 2 different times, and he hadn't homered since June 8th. I was wondering what in the world was going on. He came in as a career .319 hitter, hitting left-handed. He stands in right now at .274. This year for the Braves, the 1-1 pitch. Had him reaching, and that's down toward the corner. Should be a double for Chipper Jones. Henderson gets it back in. That's a double all the way, and that's a 2-out double for the Braves. What has changed with a dip in his production from the left side is the way he's hitting the ball right-handed. He came in at .371 hitting right-handed.
There are a lot of pitchers even that think when a guy gets a hit that it's a bad pitch. That was not a bad pitch to Chipper Jones. You could see that swing. It was way out in front and kind of one-hand hooked it over the leaping Ventura. Watch this with one hand. Watch the left hand follow through. Fooled on the pitch. Boom, off the end of the bat, just hooks it down in the left field corner. Fine hitting by Jones.
And now Brian Jordan, who leads this first place Atlanta team with 65 RBIs, could put the Braves out in front. Jordan has seen everything inside part of the plate and in. .296 hitter, 15 home runs. Last year, career high in average and home runs with the Cardinals his final year in St. Louis. Runner at second, 2 out. Jordan took ball 2. Getting the job done with runners in scoring position as he has out in front of him now. Chipper Jones at second. Into left center field. Well hit. Back at the track at the wall. Goodbye. Brian Jordan goes deep. That's number 16, and it's 2-0 Atlanta here in the 5th. We showed you that stretch for Leiter, 5-0 in the month of June. No home runs allowed. He allows one here in the 5th to Brian Jordan.
One of the problems by continually pitching hitters inside, particularly the 3rd time through the lineup, your fastball is not as good, and they're more accustomed to seeing that pitch inside. Watch Brian Jordan looking for it all the way, just puts the bat head on it. That ball shoots out of here.
And now a strike to Andrew Jones. So a 2-out double followed by the home run, and the Braves out in front 2-0 midway through this one. One ball, one strike. See Brian Jordan with that tongue hanging out like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He's done that throughout his entire career. 2 out, nobody on. Andrew Jones is jammed, and that's to the 3rd baseman Ventura. Inning is over, but not before damage. Ned Yost, 3rd base coach, happy with that shot by Jordan to put Atlanta up 2-0.
People love us. By Pepsi, the thrill of Star Wars Episode 1 and the joy of cola. And by K-Swiss athletic footwear and apparel.
Take the train to and from the game. A good way to get in and out of Shea Stadium. Queens, Flushing Meadows. Robin Ventura leads it off. 284 hitter, and he checks his swing on a pitch down and in from Millwood. Well, the Mets trail, as they did pretty much from the get-go last night. Fell behind in the first inning, 3-zip. On way to, as that's the first hit of the day for the Mets. A 16-0 loss here last night. The Mets fall behind today, and who gets it started for New York? Robin Ventura with the first Mets hit of the afternoon.
First hit for the Mets last night in the 5th inning. First hit this afternoon in the 5th inning.
But they'd like to turn that into something. Ventura on with nobody out, and the homer in Hawaiian, Benny Agbayani, with 11 on the year. A .324 average. Walked his first time. Stands in. Couldn't hold up. Strike one. You get a look at the other scores from around Major League Baseball, including Kansas City with that lead at Cleveland. One ball, one strike. Mike Hargrove can set up his postseason rotation now if he wants to. Let's see. We want Cologne to pitch the first game. Map it out from July on. The 1 ball, 1 strike count. 2-1 from Millwood. Number 6 in the league with a .333 average, Roger Cedeno on deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Late swing by Agbayani. Warm day. This crowd awful quiet. The 2-2 pitch. Full count. And Agbayani ought to get something to rip here.
It'll be interesting to see if Robin Ventura is running on the play. Obviously a tie game you send him. A 1-run game you send him. It's a little riskier to send him right now trailing by 2.
He is going. Agbayani strikes out, and they have the runner Ventura hung up. It's risky, and the risk doesn't pay off. Strike him out, throw him out, double play. And the bases are empty with 2 down in the 5th.
Center fielder Roger Cedeno.
When you're trailing by 2 in the middle innings, as we said, a little riskier because something like this might happen. Ventura is one of the slowest regulars in the National League, along with teammate John Olerud. Does not have good foot speed. That's why he stopped and tried to get back. So an easy double play. Just like that, 1 pitch, 2 outs for the Braves in the 5th.
Caught stealing 2-4-3. And now with the bases empty, here is Roger Cedeno. He pops it into left field. Warm day. The ball carries near the track. Williams shades his eyes. And the inning is over. A leadoff hit turns into nothing for the Mets. We played 5. Atlanta out in front on Jordan's home run. 2-0. By Brian Jordan with 2 out in the 5th. Millwood and Leiter each with effective starts. Millwood better than Leiter to this point.
Leading off left fielder.
And in the Mets' last 23 innings against the Braves, they have done nothing. What are you doing taking that makeup off? Huh? You don't want to walk through the Bronx wearing makeup?
Oh, that's right. I've got a split doubleheader today.
Here's a ground ball base hit through the left side. Gerald Williams is on to start the 6th inning for Atlanta. That's your day. Doubleheader today. You'll do the Yankee game tonight. And then we roll it forward in 10 days. A week from Tuesday, you and I will be in Boston along with Bob Brenly. And we will be doing the All-Star game from Fenway Park to end this millennium. Does it get any better than that?
No, it doesn't. Definitely the last All-Star game at Fenway Park. And that baseball and Fenway on the same night. I mean, that's everybody who loves the game's dream.
1 on, nobody out for Brian Hunter, the number 7 hitter. Oof, what a swing by Hunter. Strike 1.
And Joe, people in New York City obviously excited about the All-Star game up in Boston, but they're more excited about next weekend's series when the Yankees come to Shea Stadium. 3-game series to close out the first half. This place will be jumping again next weekend.
The sports world will descend on Queens. This will be the site next weekend, and that's why we talk about the importance of this series for the Mets. Not only within their own division against the Atlanta Braves, but look, it doesn't get any easier looking ahead to next weekend's matchup with one of the best teams in baseball, the New York Yankees.
Yep.
And they've been on a roll. 1 on, nobody out, the 0-1. Smoked foul. That's another one into the upper deck.
2 foul balls in the upper deck to left field by right-handed batters.
Same guy.
Brian Hunter hit them both. That's right.
Tommy Agee.
That was the upper deck in fair territory. Right in that area. What a poke that was.
Here's the 0-2 up and in. You get a look at that angle, which gives or should give people a reason to understand why now it looks fair. But as you come back from our angle, that spot up in the upper deck where Agee hit it looks like it's a foul ball.
Yeah,
but it wraps around that pole into the upper deck here at Shea. Been playing baseball in Shea since 1964. Runner goes and Hunter protects him. Still 1-2. Gerald Williams back to the bag, and this always stands out to me every time we do a Mets game, but the way they hold the runner on at first doesn't seem to be slowing Gerald Williams down at all as they play Olerud between the runner and the first base bag. Little different approach used by the coaching staff here with the Mets. And there's the throw over right on cue. The stolen base numbers for Williams. You can't be a left-handed pitcher and feel very confident about burning a throw over to first base with your first baseman moving away from it.
That's a very, very good point, and I concur.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
So whenever you throw the ball to first base, you're throwing to a moving target. You have to lead him properly, and you can't throw the ball too hard. Otherwise, you throw it by the bag and by John Olerud. I think you and I have talked about it in past telecasts. That is, it's not only unorthodox. I think it's wrong to play your first baseman like that. There was that moving target right there.
I don't see that the advantages of that.
No, I don't either.
Outweigh the disadvantages, and one of the biggest disadvantages outside of what we just talked about is you're taking your first baseman away from the large part of the field as the pitcher brings up that front leg. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Particularly when you think about your second baseman protecting towards second base, and you see how big the hole is between your first baseman, and it's even bigger when Olerud goes toward first, as he will right now.
Runner goes, swing and a miss, throw down to second, too late. Stolen base, Gerald Williams. So it didn't slow down Williams at all, and Gerald steals his 2nd of the afternoon, his 6th of the year.
Catcher Eddie Perez.
The strikeout of Hunter is the 3rd time he struck out today, and it's a runner at second, 1 out.
It didn't slow down Gerald Williams, who had a great jump, because it's not that deceptive a play. Gerald Williams beating the throw. Mike Piazza with a good pitch to handle. But don't think Williams is going to stop there. He tried to steal third base with 1 out. First time he was on second.
There he goes. Inside pitch, throw down too late. Williams is standing on third with 1 away. And I was just about to back up what you were saying, because if he's going to do it, he's going to do it now with 1 out. And Perez at the plate with a pitcher waiting on deck.
To give Eddie Perez a chance to even squeeze him in. Eddie Perez is a very good bunter. So Gerald Williams wastes no time. That's his 3rd stolen base of the game. And you can look for a squeeze right here, because Eddie Perez does not drive the ball well to the outfield.
Not even close at third. Infield will creep in with a pitch, and as Perez has one in on him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's another play with a lot of movement, with the infielders coming in with the pitch. And now, after coming in, looks like they're staying in for this delivery. Runner at third, 1 out. And Perez, the RBI single into left center field. Williams scores, and it's 3-0 Atlanta. Williams did that
Pitcher Kevin
He
Millwood.
got himself on, got himself over to second, got himself over to third, and Eddie Perez knocks him in. Only Eddie's 11th RBI this season.
No question about it. That was a run manufactured by Gerald Williams. Stealing second, then stealing third, and with the infield in, clean base hit to left center field by Eddie Perez. Now the bunt from Millwood, I would suspect.
Strike one. You got any lottery numbers for me? You're on today. On the brink of 100.
What's the big one now? Powerball?
Yes. Oof. One more pitch to get to the century mark. 1 on, 1 out. Millwood to bunt. And a good bunt to Olerud. Only played at first. Out there. Sacrifice good 3-4. Down to second with 2 out is Eddie Perez. And it took a perfect bunt to get him down there. Our American general question. The Mets have had 115 third basemen in their history. Who was the first? And I know you know. I can tell by that smile on your face. He's awful popular in this city even today.
There's that bunt. John Olerud charging and Al Leiter deferring to Olerud properly. Millwood not a fast runner. Not going to be running hard with the way he's pitching so well today. So nice sacrifice bunt by Kevin Millwood.
Takes a well-placed single to get Eddie Perez home from second. As Walt Weiss, who has driven in 18 runs on the year, 0 for 3, stands in and takes a ball. Weiss hitting .256. Talked about the patience of Rickey Henderson throughout his career. Weiss is also an extremely patient hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Weiss in search of that 2-out RBI hit, takes ball 2. Turk Wendell gets ready for the Mets out in their bullpen. A bullpen that used 7 pitchers in last night's game. 2 balls and a strike. 3-1.
Does that include or exclude Matt Franco?
That includes. That's why you use the word pitcher lightly. Matt Franco, who gave it a shot, came in, gave up a home run to Gerald Williams. Extra base hit by Otis Nixon. And then he struck out Andrew Jones. There's the pop-up. That's what the Mets wanted. Back to get it is Alfonso, and the inning is over. But the Braves had a run thanks to Gerald Williams. A single, 2 stolen bases. The RBI hit by Eddie Perez. 3-0 Atlanta. Back to Shea Stadium after this from your local Fox station. Ordonez will lead off for the Mets in the 6th inning. What a turnaround it's been for Ordonez this season. Hitting .246 with only 10 RBIs on June 2nd. Only 146 with runners in scoring position. ... Ball 1. And the change was made at a local hair salon. Blondes have more fun, according to Ray Ordonez. Since June 4th, that Yankee series, a .358 average, 16 RBIs, and with runners in scoring position hitting .500.
It is the rage in New York City. Shane Spencer and Chuck Knobloch of the Yankees. Knobloch with streaked blonde hair, and Shane Spencer with hair just like Ray Ordonez. How about you? You going that route to the All-Star game?
No. I'll be left with nothing. I still burn what I have left. Gone. See ya. Ball and 2 strikes. Ray Ordonez leading off. 2-2 from Millwood, with the Mets trailing 3-0 here in the 6th inning. A Jeter fan here at Shea. Any baseball fan would be a Derek Jeter fan.
Got that right.
I know he wears the pinstripes. of the evil empire in the Bronx, according to the people here at Shea. But man, is he an unbelievable player.
No
3 balls
argument
and 2
here.
strikes, and that's to third and foul off the bat of Ordonez.
2 matinee idols in New York, one for the Mets, one for the Yankees, Mike Piazza and Derek Jeter. They will both, of course, be here next weekend. There's Michael.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Ordonez trying to start something. That won't do it. Shallow right. In comes Jordan. One of, if not the best defensive right fielders in the game. One away. And we'll have a pinch hitter now. A season to remember question. Brought to you by American General Financial Group. The Mets have had 115 third basemen in their history. Who was the first? Mention he is still popular here in the city of New York. Don Zimmer on opening day 1962. He was the first of many.
And that position has included some names out of the past.
And of course, for Zimmer and the Mets, it was a season to remember. Not as memorable as 1969, but that's where it all began for the Mets, as Brian McRae stands in, hitting for Al Leiter, who's finished after pitching 6 innings. He's won 5 starts in a row, but he needs his teammates to bounce back off the mat here today if he's going to make it 6 in a row.
Of course, the Mets playing at Shea Stadium now, obviously, and in 1962 and 63, their first 2 years, names like Bob Aspromonte, Elio Chacon, Joe Foy came about 5 or 6 years later, but Pumpsy Green, Phil Lentz coming over from the Yankees, and even Joe Torre was a player manager in 1977. And the manager of the Mets, Bobby Valentine, manned third base, as did, of course, Popeye, Don Zimmer.
1 out, nobody on. Ball and 2 strikes on McRae. Pinch hitting, and that's foul. There's another shot for the on-deck circle. Matt Corrales able to get out of the way. It wasn't really at him, it was near him. We look at the Mets third baseman now. Locked him up to a 4-year deal, and they have a rock over at third base here in New York with the Mets. Ball and 2 strikes, and McRae pops it into center. Andrew Jones back to get it over the shoulder. They compare him to Willie Mays. Those who have been around this game long enough, they do it and they almost apologize for it, but they say this guy has a chance to be one of the best ever out there.
Jim Beecham used to be a coach for the Braves and used to hit fungos to the outfielders, and told me a couple of years ago, before Andrew Jones, before anybody knew that he was a great fielder, he said, I cannot hit a ball over his head. If you hit a ball over his head, you got to have a ticket to field it. That was Jim Beecham's words. But he showed there how graceful an athlete he is with a strong throwing arm. I think he's the best center fielder in the game today.
Are you going to throw Willie Mays out there?
Oh, no.
I know.
No. In the game today.
Ricky Henderson, 2 out, nobody on, ball 1. You watch Andrew Jones go after fly balls like that. He didn't have to catch it next to his cheek, and he didn't have to go over the shoulder like that. He could have gone back, set up, and made the catch, but he likes to entertain himself out in center field. That's how good he is. A high strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. He likes to make it interesting, a little thrill before he catches the ball. Look at this. How much does it miss his left cheek by? A smile at the end. 1 ball, 1 strike. Henderson 2-1.
Baseball is such a difficult game to play, and when you see one who plays the game effortlessly, it's a real joy to watch. Nothing comes hard for Andrew Jones.
2 balls and a strike. Henderson pops it up. Another easy inning for Millwood. If Jordan or Boone can get there. Brett Boone, the second baseman, wants it, has it. Inning over. We go to the 7th inning. 3-0 Atlanta. Leiter's finished into the Mets bullpen. Back to Shea after this from your local Fox station.
You're watching Fox Saturday Baseball.
Brian McRae stays in the game, bats 9th. He's in center. Here's the first pitch from the new pitcher, Turk Wendell. Set him in a moment. Roger Cedeno goes from center to right. Now pitching and batting first is Turk Wendell. 7th inning, 3-0 Atlanta. 0-2 on Brett Boone.
We talked about how Al Leiter, his staple pitch about 70% of the time, was that fastball inside to right-handed batters. Well, Turk Wendell throws his slider a considerable amount of time also. Maybe not 7 out of 10 times, but close to that. Turk coming over from the Cubs in the McRae deal.
Good pitch. That's the slider, 1 away.
Slider right on the black there. Brett Boone does not agree with that Montague, but
Third baseman Chipper Jones.
everybody knows agreement's not part of it. That ball splicing the outside corner. Fine pitch by Wendell.
Might have gone too far with a swing anyway. 1 out. Chipper Jones digs in. And Jones batting left-handed takes strike 1. Up to 298 now with his average, 49 RBIs. One ball, 1 strike. Ryan Jordan will follow. He has by far the biggest swing of the day. 2 out, 2-run homer in the 5th inning. It's now 3-0 Atlanta. Alfonso to his right, 2 up, 2 down. Well, we've already talked about it. On July 13th, the greatest collection of home run hitters ever assembled takes aim at Boston's legendary Green Monster. Coverage begins on Fox Sports Net at 7 o'clock. The 99 All-Star Game Special. And at 8, tune in here for the blockbuster All-Star pregame show leading right up to the Midsummer Classic. And it's interesting when you start to think about the reserves on those teams. Juan Gonzalez saying if he's not picked as a starter, he's not going to go. Joe Torre, very wise in saying, well, I'm going to pick him. If he doesn't want to go, that's going to be his decision. 2 out, nobody on. Jordan takes ball 1, 1 ball, 1 strike. How about the starter for the National League side? Could it be Kent Bottenfield, the first starter in the National League to 12 wins? Could it be Lima of Houston, who won his 12th last night? Schilling, Paul Bird, 2 right-handers with Philadelphia. And by the way, as these Atlanta Braves starters have struggled this year, it has been since 1991. The last time the Atlanta Braves haven't had a starter selected as a National League All-Star, and that may very well happen this year.
I may not know who's going to start for the National League, but I know who's going to start for the American League.
Mr. 15 wins. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pedro Martinez, we're talking about, won number 15 over the White Sox yesterday.
All the stars of past years represented in both leagues, capped off by Teddy Ballgame.
Got him over the outside corner, and a perfect first inning of work for Turk Wendell. Time to stretch. These Mets fans say forget stretch. We need some runs. 3-0 Atlanta.
Home team, if they don't win, it's a shame. Cause it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's go Mets!
All right, Sergeant John. Sergeant John McGarry for today's special edition of the A&W Fan Cam. Here's Edgardo Alfonzo, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Mets. Down by 3.
That was without cue cards, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. No help whatsoever. The 1-0. A high strike, 1 ball, 1 strike. He works out in the bullpen here at Shea Stadium. Usually. Move the guys around every once in a while, but he is typically found out in the bullpen. Here at Shea. Alfonzo with a 1 ball, 1 strike count. 2-1 from Millwood, who tries to go at least 7 strong here this afternoon. There's that Mets bullpen busy at work. Rigo Beltran loosening up. There's a strike. Alfonso didn't like that call either. 2-2. It's that vegetation out there in the bullpen. Have a garden growing out in the Mets bullpen.
I wonder if John Franco's gardening will be affected by that sore finger. You've heard of green thumbs? Well, John as they pull the flexor, the middle finger of his left hand right below the middle knuckle. Corns, peppers, tomatoes.
It's all to be found right in the bullpen. Sean Franco is responsible. Alfonso strikes out in a good start to the 7th inning for the right-hander Kevin Millwood. That's his 5th strikeout. And the Mets still have only 1 hit.
That diving slider low and away. We talked about how wicked that slider can be for Kevin Millwood. He has really maintained his stuff throughout. Matter of fact, the Mets have had only 3 base runners, 2 walks and 1 hit. 2 of those base runners erased by double play.
Check swing strike off the bat of Olerud. In case you're wondering, Millwood does not have a complete game this season. And he would be hard-pressed to do it on a hot day here at Shea this afternoon. But he is on his way. 1 out, nobody on. Olerud 0 for 1 with a walk. 1 ball, 1 strike. Olerud is one of only 3 base runners on the day against Millwood. And he has been efficient with the pitches. That's a line drive into right. Jordan can't get there, and it's a 1-out single for John Olerud. Good time for that for the Mets with Mike Piazza walking in. Trying to dent home plate of the Mets, who trail by 3 in the 7th. Rather menacing look on the face of Piazza as he walks to the plate.
And Bobby Cox realizes that Mike's much more dangerous right now because he's not only seen Millwood a couple of times, but Millwood isn't throwing as hard as he did the first time through the order.
Chase that pitch. His action starts for the Braves out in their bullpen.
Andrew Jones in center field, shading. There's Rudy Sanchez in the bullpen, but you see Andrew Jones shading Mike Piazza toward right center. Piazza, a dominant right field hitter.
Taking that over the outside corner, according to Montague, in the count 0-2. Not only is Sanchez loosening for the Braves, so is their left-hander Mike Remlinger out in their bullpen. Here's the 0-2. Rip foul. Past third and Cookie Rojas. Numbers aren't good in Piazza's career against this particular right-hander for Atlanta.
Millwood just got away with a mistake. That was a hanging breaking ball. It sped up Mike Piazza's bat head. If you're going to miss against Piazza up to the count of 2-2, you have to make sure you miss away.
Breaking ball got him. Piazza's gone. 2 strikeouts in the inning. We understand the Indians have come roaring back. We'll take you back to the Fox Network Center at Keith.
Joe, for the 2nd time this season, the Indians have erased an 8-run deficit. In the bottom of the 6th, Travis Fryman with the ball that Carlos Beltran celebrates by falling down. That brought on 2, and then Pat Borders with an RBI single to tie it. All this in Tom Candiotti's return to Cleveland after 8 years away. They're tied at 8, bottom of the 6th. Joe?
Thank you, Keith. And that's what the Indians are capable of doing with that offense. Thinking guys like Pat Borders chipping in. He was just added to the roster for the Indians. 1 on, 2 out, and a strike to Ventura. So even with Remlinger, I'm sure out there loose by now, it wouldn't take much to get loose on a humid day like this. They stick with Millwood. Bullpen mainly watching as Ventura takes ball 1.
Just like against Piazza, I do not think Millwood will come inside to Robin Ventura. Ventura, a good inside hitter.
There's a nasty breaking ball for strike 2.
Don Drysdale's old saying comes to the fore in the late innings. If you miss away, it's a single. If you miss inside, it's a home run.
Breaking ball grounded to Boone. To his right, makes the play. The Mets strand their 2nd of the day. They have only 2 hits. It's been all Millwood, all Atlanta, 3-0 after 7. Also has corn coming out of it, peppers. With that garden out beyond the right field wall. Beltran takes over here in the 8th inning. Wendell, one perfect inning. Third pitch of the day, and a breaking ball is down and in to Andruw Jones. This is a significant page of graphics as you look at Kevin Millwood and what he has done at the start of his career. Millwood with a record of 30-15, bettering Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine. The first 53 career starts of his big league career. 2 balls and a strike now on Andruw Jones.
Very impressive start for young Kevin Millwood.
That hit the outside corner, 2-2.
We did his first game a couple of years ago in 1997 down in Atlanta, and Bobby Cox telling us before that game that Kevin Millwood has a chance to be the #1 starter on a staff someday. He said, I hope it's ours. Pitching like it today.
Still 2-2 on Andruw Jones. There's Bobby Cox, #1 in the franchise history with regards to wins as a manager. Jones reaching at screwball from Beltran, 1 away. Andruw Jones is 0 for 4, and he strikes out for the 2nd time today.
Boy, that is a terrific screwgee by Beltran. Not that many pitchers in baseball throw the screwball anymore. At a pitch that is very difficult on the elbow of anybody who throws it.
Pitches up to Gerald Williams, who has had a perfect day, a double, a walk, a single.
Joe, I think Jim Cott, who is an announcer for the Yankees and a great major leaguer for a long time, had one of the best explanations of how a guy throws a curveball that I've ever heard. He said if you go to a door and you're normally naturally going to turn the doorknob to the right, turn it to the left, and that's how you throw a screwball on your release, turning that doorknob to the left.
Pitches up and into Gerald Williams, 2 balls and a strike. Well, Beltran came out of the Cardinal organization featuring that. Cardinals traded him to the Mets for Juan Acevedo. Cardinals have a right-hander who throws a screwball, and Rick Croushore. There's the screwball to get Williams with strike 2, 2-2. AAA Norfolk, an ERA of 1.69 with a 2-1 record for Rigo. Just missed the outside corner, 3-2. Why is it then that most screwballing pitchers are left-handed?
I was thinking the same thing. I don't know the answer to that.
Williams pops up a screwball into shallow right. In comes Cedeno, 2 out. Well, all things aren't healthy coming out of that Mets bullpen now. We talked about the garden. We've designated that the Todd Hundley plant. Out of that Mets bullpen, Todd is no longer here. It has been uncared for since he left and headed off to Los Angeles.
Controversy surrounding Todd because he was much cared for by the Met fans here in this town. Still is.
He is for many Mets fans. A tie back to the Davey Johnson era.
Yep. As
he came up right at the end of Johnson's time here in New York, called up from Double-A originally. Now he is slowed by the elbow injury. There's no doubt that affects him. To me, he's one of the most enjoyable players that I've seen play over the last 5-6 years, but lately still trying to bounce back from the elbow injury. 1 ball. Make it 0-2 now, as that's called a strike over the inside corner to Brian Hunter, who is in danger, striking out for the 4th time today. Millwood getting ready for the bottom of this 8th inning. Broken bat, ground ball to Ventura, who's taken over that role for the Mets, that warrior role for New York. After Hundley left, it's now Ventura. He takes care of Hunter. Bottom of the 8th inning. Mets come to the plate, down by 3.
Fireworks abundantly sounding throughout not only the New York area, but coast to coast. And today is a very important day. Today marks the 136th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, the last day
Agbayani takes a ball outside.
As about, matter of fact, about now, General George Pickett was in his famous charge up to the middle of the Yankee Center. I say Yankee Center because that's what the rebels referred to the Northerners as.
Agbayani from the 50th state, Hawaii, takes a pitch high, and the count 2-1.
We were talking about it before the game. There are a lot of at-bats in baseball now that are longer than the Gettysburg Address.
3 balls and a strike on Agbayani.
Like this one. A lot of 3-2 counts, a lot of foul balls back. The Gettysburg Address was about 2 minutes long. Read, I think, about 3 weeks after the Battle of Gettysburg. That ended today, 136 years ago.
To the right side. Agbayani grounds out 3-1. Even on a hot day, Millwood able to get over there. So you're saying you could read the Gettysburg Address typically in the time it takes one of these major league hitters to go through an at-bat?
No, most at-bats are longer than the Gettysburg Address.
Okay, try it.
When you want me to
start?
He's in the
box right now.
407 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. I don't know whether Abraham Lincoln read it this fast. However, to continue, we are met here on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of it as a final resting place for those who are here, who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. Bear with us.
Roger Cedeno takes a pitch for a strike. Why does it seem like it's 11 minutes long?
Because I'm reading it. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather than to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they have thus far so nobly carried on.
The 0-2 pitch.
Darn.
Grounded to the right side. Boone takes care of Cedeno. We even had a mound visit. You couldn't get it finished.
It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation still have a new birth of freedom, and that this government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth.
Here's a foul back and out of play by Ray Ordonez, who came to this country from Cuba. 2 out, nobody on as Millwood continues to roll. I was thinking as you were reading that last night the Mets lost 4 squared. To nothing. 2 out, nobody on, and a fly ball into right center field. Millwood gets through 8 as he has to sweat out that catch by Andruw Jones. Tell me that only took 2 minutes. Happy 4th of July. 3-0 Atlanta after 8. Eddie Perez, then Kevin Millwood, then Walt Weiss. And a ball up and in from Beltran, who pitched a perfect 8th inning after Wendell went right through the Braves 1, 2, 3 in the 7th. 2 balls, no strikes, with Armando Benitez, the hard-throwing right-hander, getting loose for the Mets out in their bullpen. The 2-0. Off to the right side, long run for the right fielder Cedeno. Over to get it. 1 away, and Beltran's retired 4 in a row. A special Fox Saturday presentation of a network premiere movie starring George Clooney, Salma Hayek, and Quentin Tarantino. It's From Dusk Till Dawn tonight, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Parental discretion advised. 1 out, nobody on. Roger Cedeno took in the fly ball off the bat of Perez, and now Beltran works to Millwood. who is at least going to have a shot at trying to finish what he started here today. Mets have won only 3 of their last 15 against the Braves. Millwood and company trying to make it 3 of their last 16. Klesko sitting this one out as the left-hander Leiter started for the Mets. There's a strikeout in the second for Beltran. 2 out, nobody on in the ninth. Pitching has been outstanding. Leiter 6 innings, 3 runs on 7 hits. Those are the only runs crossing home plate today. Here's Walt Weiss.
One of the most exciting victories of the year for the New York Mets was when the Philadelphia Phillies were here in town, when Curt Schilling carried a 4-0 lead into the bottom of the 9th inning, and the Mets scored 5 runs to beat Schilling, who was dominating before that. So don't go away. Bottom of the 9th coming up.
In fact, after that loss and a couple 9th inning collapses by Schilling after that, the Phillies have rethought their position on letting Schilling get way up there in a pitch count. I think he had over 120 in his last start through 8. They took him out and said, look, we're going to need him later in the year. There's no reason to send him back out there for another inning. Two out, nobody on. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Walt Weiss. We'll see Schilling and many others. That All-Star game Tuesday, July 13th, 7 Eastern, the 99 All-Star Game special on Fox Sports Net, followed by the blockbuster All-Star pregame show at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific here on Fox. Weiss pops it up into right. 2 perfect innings by the New York bullpen, Wendell and Beltran. That sets us up for the bottom of the 9th inning. It will be McRae, a pinch hitter. Alfonso coming up. Maybe Piazza later. 3-0 Atlanta. Tomorrow, a final message from our friend in the bullpen.
This is Sergeant John telling you to drive home safely. And kids, tomorrow is the 4th. Don't play with fireworks because it's dangerous and illegal.
Sergeant John McGarry. Good advice.
Absolutely.
Really for any time of year. Drive home safely. Don't play with fireworks. There's Kevin Millwood up over 100 pitches on the day. He will try to complete his first game of the year.
Only one other time did Kevin have a complete game shutout. That was last April 14th against the Pittsburgh Pirates. A 1-hitter winning 6-0.
He's allowed only 2 hits here today. It's 3-0 Atlanta. Bottom of the 9th inning. Brian McRae first up. And a ball inside from Millwood. Last 3 games against the Mets. The Atlanta pitching an ERA of 0.51. Good fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Only 15 hits and 35 innings pitched and 23 strikeouts. Big numbers for Leo Mazzoni's pitching staff of the Braves. On 1-1, it's outside.
Mets, on the other hand, have not scored in their last 20 innings. The last 3 innings of the game in Florida on Thursday night. Shutout last night, shutout today.
That's out of play. 2-2. These are the numbers that we showed you before the game, Tim, and it's following suit with the Braves trying to win 13 against only 4 losses against the Mets. Batting average here today will pull that overall Mets average down. The effort by Millwood should pull the ERA down a bit. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 3-0 Atlanta. Full count as McRae tries to get it started in the 9th inning for the Mets.
I think the thing that most spells bad news for the rest of the National League is the adjustment that Tommy Glavine and Greg Maddux have made.
A leadoff walk. A good start for the Mets, and not what Millwood had in mind. We'll see how far they go with their tired starter. That'll bring in Matt Franco, who last night made news with his arm, not his bat, as he came in to finish off the top of the 9th inning. Gave up that to Gerald Williams. The home run went and eventually struck out Andruw Jones on a high delivery. Matt Franco will be in to hit. Bobby Cox makes the slow walk out to the mound. And he talks it over with Millwood. Millwood is gone. He has just walked his 3rd of the game. A deep breath, the walk back to the dugout, and he hands it over to the Atlanta bullpen. Braves taking on Todd Pratt. 1 on, nobody out. A blazing fastball in from the left-hander, coming off a blown save in Montreal. When in the 9th inning, the Expos overcame a 5-1 deficit to beat the Atlanta Braves. This is his first appearance since that meltdown. He has saved 16. ERA under 3. 1 on, nobody out. Pratt checks his swing. On ball 1 inside. Pratt bats for Franco, who is hitting for Beltran.
The Braves lost at Montreal on Tuesday after leading by 4 runs going into the bottom of the 9th, and then they lost again the next night after leading by 3 going into the bottom of the 8th.
Here's the 1-1 to Pratt. Ooh, a breaking ball that misses low. 2 balls and a strike.
That, by the way, is the first time since 1962 that the Milwaukee/Atlanta Braves have lost 2 games in that fashion, when they've been ahead by 4 and 3 runs, 2 games in a row in the late innings.
So those memories from Montreal are not distant for Bobby Cox, and you can bet for John Rocker. He brings it in on 2-1 to Pratt. In the dirt, gets away, ball 3, and that sends McRae down to second and takes away the easy double play chance.
Well, they have had a very difficult time closing the deal in the 90s. You remember Juan Berenguer, the hard-throwing right-hander, Alejandro Pena, and the next year Pena, Jeff Reardon, then Mike Stanton, who's now at the Yankees, Greg McMichael's the leading save leader for the Braves in '94, the 3 years with Mark Wohlers, and last year was Kerry Lightenberg as the stopper for the Braves. This year, John Rocker.
Lightenberg with ligament replacement surgery in his pitching elbow. Rocker and Rocker. Runner at second, nobody out. 3-1 is hitting to right, a base hit. They will hold McRae at third, and that means the tying run will step to the plate here in the 9th inning. And now you get into big lumber for the Mets with Alfonso, a 300 hitter, Olerud, and then Piazza.
That's why that was a huge hit by Todd Pratt, to allow the potential tying run to come to the plate. Huge hit.
Edgardo Alfonso came in as a 300 hitter. He's 0 for 3, down to 297. And a slider's in there for strike 1.
Tell you, Joe, I do not understand why Brian Hunter is holding Todd Pratt on. He represents only the 2nd run. We're in the 9th inning. And Edgardo Alfonso is a good right field hitter. If he hits a ball into the position, and the Braves would lament that after this game.
There he is trying to go to right, and he fouled it away. 0-2. You can see Alfonso making a concerted effort to hit it that way.
There is no way you can hold a runner on in this position. No way.
Yet the Braves have Hunter holding against Pratt, who, no matter what the situation, probably isn't running, but definitely not here. The pitch to Alfonso is just down and in, 1-2. Olerud, the lefty, on deck. The 1-2. Alfonso stays alive. John Rocker came in to give up a pinch hit single to Todd Pratt, and he's 1-2 on Alfonzo. Had a good swing at that pitch. Still 1-2.
Edgardo Alfonzo, one of the better two-strike hitters in baseball. More inclined to go the other way with 2 strikes. Cuts down on his swing, cuts down on his thinking, doesn't try to pull the ball.
Situation in front of Alfonzo. Waited on that pitch and spoiled a nasty delivery from Rocker. Still 1-2. When Rocker came in to get the save last Sunday, took over the 9th inning for Greg Maddux, he got the outs on the slider despite that overpowering fastball. One ball, 2 strikes. 2 on, nobody out. Missing down and in, 2-2. Again for the New York Mets. A vitally important series, even though we're only in the month of July. Taking on the Braves, 4 games out in front of them in the NL East. The 2-2 fouled back, and Alfonzo had another good rip.
That was his best cut of this at bat. Of a lot of good cuts. He was right on that fastball from Rocker.
Millwood sweating along with John Rocker. The 2-2 pitch. Alfonzo pops it up. In to get it, Andruw Jones. That'll be the first out. Nobody moves. First and third, 1 away. While the Mets play here at Shea Stadium, and Rocker tries to wrap it up for the Braves. Starting at 4:30. As we look at a pop-up into center off the bat of Alfonzo. Little off on that swing. Little out in front. Starting at 4:30, those viewers in the New York City area, we remind you to stay tuned to WNYW Channel 5 for coverage of the Yankees and the Orioles. But we finally have drama in this one between the Mets and the Braves. First and third, 1 out. And John Olerud is at the plate. Corner, strike 1. The big bat of Mike Piazza waits to hit next. And now with a left-handed batter at the plate, the Braves finally play behind the runner Pratt over at first. Here's the 0-1. Just inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. 97 miles per hour from Rocker. Against lefties, 2 of his 12 home runs. Rocker came into this season with 2 major league saves on his record. He has 16 in 1999. Trying to save it from Millwood. A 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike. Barring a game-ending double play, we should see Mike Piazza at the plate with, at the very least, a chance to tie it. But right now it's Olerud, the 2-1. Caught the inside corner, knee high. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Rocker is dealing hard and heavy with great location. That ball just above the kneecaps.
the 2-2 to Olerud. Popped up into shallow left. Gerald Williams comes on to make the catch. The runners will stay put. No sense in trying to advance. And now Mike Piazza walks in. Last chance for the Mets, but it's a big chance. His opportunity, 2 on, 2 out, down by 3.
Earlier this year against Trevor Hoffman of the San Diego Padres, Mike Piazza won a game with a 3-run homer in the 9th inning. That was a game in which the Padres won 2-0, or were leading 2-0 in the bottom of the 9th. I think that was the first blown save by the Padres in something like 181 games at the time.
Tim McCarver's police escort standing by, ready to whisk him to the Bronx. But right now, John Rocker has all he can handle with Piazza at the plate, representing the tying run here in the 9th inning.
Got the left-handed hitting Ventura on deck. If you do walk Piazza, he wouldn't be in scoring position. The Mets would have to pinch run probably Luis Lopez for Mike. The point is that you don't have to give in to Mike Piazza here. I'm not saying pitch around him, but you don't have to give in to him.
Piazza could tie it with 1 swing. Rocker trying to end it. Strike 1. McCray led off with a walk. Pratt pinch inning singled. And that's where we stand. They were there with nobody out. They're there with 2 out. Piazza 0 for 3 on the day. Alfonso had his chance. He popped up. Olerud popped up to left, and now the 0-1 to Piazza. Strike 2, big swing, but he better crank it up another notch as Rocker's getting it in there in a hurry. 0-2, and the Mets are down to their final strike.
Oh, that ball smoking home plate umpire Ed Montague. Oof.
Take your breath away, and Montague hardly flinched. 0-2 on Piazza. Mets fans can't watch. Millwood can't watch. Now time called as Piazza was ready to hit. Perez pops up and goes to the mound. The Atlanta Braves trying to send the Mets into a 5-game hole in the National League East. Kevin Millwood gave 8 strong innings here today, only 2 hits, struck out 6. A 113 pitch effort. Piazza with 1 swing could wipe away all of that good work by Millwood. The 0-2. Got him. Game over. Atlanta wins again. 16-0 in a laugher last night. 3-0 in a tight game today, and Millwood onto the field to celebrate the victory. It's his 10th of the year.
Terrific job by John Rocker, coming in and facing the meat of the order, Alfonso, Olerud, and Piazza, and getting all 3 after the hit to Todd Pratt.
It's time for today's play of the game, brought to you by Energizer. And we highlight Kevin Millwood and his 6 strikeouts on the day. Our Energizer plays of the game. He was in charge through 8. Rocker finished it off in the 9th. For John Rocker, it's his 17th save. For Kevin Millwood, it's his 10th win. And for the Mets, Al Leiter suffers his first loss in his last 6 starts. And all of a sudden, the Mets, who had visions of climbing into a first-place tie in the NL East, now look up from a 5-game hole. Our thanks to Hank Aaron for joining us here today. For Michael bi-coastal Weissman, Billy Webb, our director. For Steve Horn, Aaron Stoikov, and for Tim McCarver, I'm Joe Buck saying so long from Shea Stadium, where the final score 3-0 Atlanta. Keith Olbermann and Steve Lyons will be along in the Fox Television Center with some final thoughts after these words. Good night from New York.